Arizona Cardinals. Okay, I talked about them earlier on in the offseason. One of the most improved and young but talented rosters in the league that I've fallen in love with is the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, nobody talks about the Arizona Cardinals enough. Enough said. When was the last time you heard about any popular news page talk about the Arizona Cardinals besides maybe bashing Kyler Murray? Like, never, right? They don't get any news coverage. They don't get any love. But I do think that they had a really successful offseason. They went all in defensively. They had a mission to build back that defense, and it was clear it was a direct path that they made all offseason long. Now, last year, they were in the middle of the pack for defensive metrics, pretty much across the board, but expect that to change big time this year. First-round pick, Walter Nolan, might miss the beginning of the season due to injury. He's a premier run defender, and he enters a loaded defensive line group that will help mentor him and help his pass rush skills moving forward. Second-round pick, Will Johnson, probably the biggest steal. Matter of fact, forget that. Will Johnson was the biggest steal of the NFL draft. Cardinals got him in the second round. A lot of people I've talked to argue he's the best cornerback coming out of that draft. He seems like a natural starter. He fits right into the lineup. He's already making an impact in training camp. Watch out for Will Johnson to be a massive piece for this team, for this defense moving forward. Free agency additions. Josh Sweat, coming off the Super Bowl win with Philly, really made his mark last year. Had an 8-sack season, double-digit sacks under his belt 1 year. They added Dalvin Tomlinson and Calais Campbell to help that run-stopping game. Older vets that'll fill the interior defensive line to eliminate the popular and obviously great run games that they will go against. But I think, obviously, there was an emphasis here that was directed on this defense to build them up. Now, maybe a name we haven't talked about too often. Probably a name you haven't heard. Last year, the Cardinals traded midseason in 2024 for Baron Browning. Baron Browning generated a 14.7% pressure rate with the Cardinals last year. He could be the missing piece this season alongside Josh Sweat, providing pressure off the edge, funneling those run games into the middle, into big Dalvin Tomlinson and Calais Campbell to help out that run defense. I think this defense will take massive steps forward this year. I think it'll be night and day, and last year it wasn't even that bad, but this year we're looking at potentially a top 14, top 12 unit if everything works out like I'm talking about. And then obviously, you got Budda Baker, the leader of your defense, 7-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro. Last year, he was a Pro Bowler and second-team All-Pro. Need I say any more? I do not. I think this defense has a lot going for them, and they added a lot of both veteran and young talent that I think will mesh really well with one another to form a really strong defensive unit here in Arizona. Now, offense, okay? I mentioned Kyler Murray. There are obviously question marks about the offense, okay? Yes, their biggest question mark is their quarterback. The most important position for this offense. Kyler Murray, listen, this offense goes as far as Kyler is willing to propel it. At the end of the day, that's the bottom line. If Kyler has a bad day, the offense struggles. Kyler has a great day, pops off, the offense does really well, the team probably wins. That uncertainty scares the hell out of me. And I'm not a Cardinals fan. So as a Cardinals fan, I would be worried. You don't really know where you stand with Kyler Murray. Is he the guy for the future? Or is this just a phase and are we going to move on eventually? That being said, there's a lot of positive around Kyler Murray to at least help him, and support him as a quarterback and give him everything he needs to put his best on film, okay? Offensive line in Arizona is an underrated unit across the league. Top 16 O-line, according to PFF rankings heading into the season. Really a solid unit overall that's seen James Conner in back-to-back years go for 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns or more in back-to-back seasons. Marvin Harrison, he has been excellent in training camp. Looks like a dog. Looks like he's improving going into his second year. Expect a breakout year from Marvin Harrison if Kyler Murray can stay healthy and deliver probably the year of his life, to be honest with you, right? And again, coaching, Jonathan Gannon from Philly. You can see the emphasis Jonathan Gannon has put on the trenches. Both offensive line and defensive line have experienced improvements over the past few years, and he's clearly making an effort to make the trenches the best possible in Arizona because he understands how crucial that was to Philly, both in their 2022 run and this year's run to the Super Bowl, and he's trying to at least replicate that and even bringing some Philly players over to make that the case in Arizona. So, listen, I'm not saying Super Bowl, I'm not saying even playoffs, but I think you're looking at 8, 9, maybe 10 wins on a good year for Arizona if they can get it done. I think they won 8 games last year, so it's not too far out of reach for this team.